Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man, at your ghoulish and creepy service, sporting ghoulish and creepy bruises. Yes, where did they come from? Stigmata perhaps, who knows. Anyway, it's Shoktober and Kilt-Man's Horror-thon continues. Now we're going to go back to 1970 and we're going to enter into a very limited sort of genre, a horror subgenre, but made very infamous by particular films that inhabit that genre. Films like The Wicker Man, films like Witchfinder General, and films like this, Blood on Satan's Claw. Yeah, a dark darling, a bloody darling of Friday night TV back in the day when we were all little kids and we were staying up late to watch the horror movies. This one had naughtiness, it had sexy bits, and it had really controversial storyline. It was all the occult, it was black magic, it was actually the devil. The soundtrack by Marc Wikinson, the glorious, spooky, rural, eerie, melodic score. Very experimental, performed with flutes and piccolos, and strange, the ons martineau, which is like a cousin, electronic instrument, the cousin of the theremin, the great sci-fi instrument, the theremin. But the ons martineau makes a good appearance. Let's head down a bit though. I know, it's good, but, you know, can't hear myself think, god damn it. So this was Flower Power, Summer of Love, was at an end, and we'd now entered the very, very cynical 70s, where things often had downbeat endings, and the good guys didn't always win, or the good guys could often be just as bad as the bad guys. The jury's out in this one. Anyway, it's early 17th century, and farm labourer Ralph, played by Barry Andrews, with sporting big head of hair like Roger Daltrey and Tommy, and he's ploughing the fields, and suddenly he uncovers something rather unnatural and unnerving. It's a skull with one eyeball and a worm creeping across it, and it's covered in fur and feathers. Not a great combination, you know. It kind of freaks him out. He runs and tells the local judge, played by the great booze hound Patrick Wymark. And of course no one really believes this. What, you found a fiend? A fiend, you say? So they go out and have a look. Fiend's gone. Wouldn't you know it? But what's happening is the fiend has awoken. He's unearthed it. He's awoken it from its slumber, somehow or other. And it then sets about its evil influence about this lovely rural town. And the whole film is set, there's only a couple of film sets in it down at Pinewood Studios. Most of the film is set, I think, at Henley-on-Thames, and the lovely countryside there. Dick Bush does the photography, the unfortunately named Dick Bush, and he frames the film so immaculately, where the foreground will always have twigs or branches, not purposely put there, but naturally formed. And in the middle ground and the background, the action will be taking place. So it often seems like characters are walking through a sort of askew picture frame. Very clever, very eye-catching, great device. So we're rapidly introduced to various characters. The judge, I've already said, the aunt, who we get told he was a former lover of, and the nephew, played by Simon Williams, from upstairs, downstairs, sporting extremely long cavalier-like hair, really down here, like, and he brings home his fiancée. Of course, she's just a farm girl, so they're not pleased about that. So they make her sleep separately from him. But during the night, blood-curdling screams are heard from her room in the attic. When they break down the door and get in there, she scratches the aunt's face viciously, and the aunt collapses. And she's clearly gone demented. What has she seen? What happened to her in that room? Well, we know that the thing with the fur and the feathers is now putting itself about in the village, in the hamlet, and is now basically infecting people and turning them into devout devil worshippers. Because this thing, it is supposed to be the devil, right? This thing that he's unearthed. Poor Ralph. But really speaking, is it the devil? Because I think it's just a particular demon. Because what it does, the way it's going to transpire its little endeavours, Blood on Satan's Claw, the film was originally called Satan's Skin, and the idea is those who are possessed by it develop a little itchy, scratchy, hairy patch somewhere on their body. basically this thing is now, it's building itself up. So if you get that patch on your arm, it basically wants your arm. You get it on your back, it wants part of your back. If you get it in your nether regions, it's after your bits. So, but it forms like a coven, its own coven, led by, now guys, you all know where I'm going with this. If you've seen this film, you will remember A, the music, B, the fantastically weird story, and Linda Hayden, the great, did a couple of Hammer movies, Taste the Blood of Dracula, I think she was in that one, Madhouse, she's in that, and a few other things, Expose, which I know she tried to get her name off that one, because that became a really sleazy, horrible picture. But she's a great actress, and she wasn't afraid of getting her bits and bobs out. And in this she plays Angel Blake. She's anything but angelic. She's the ringleader, the coven leader, and she basically gets an entire group of school kids. Now some of these kids are pretty young, some of them are played by adults, but you know, and they need to be, because some really despicable things and debauchery, orgies and stuff take place in the old ruins of, you know, churches out in the woods. And basically she falls under the spell of this thing because she's found its claw. When they're out in those ploughed fields, when poor Ralph and the judge can't find the remains, she does. She finds a claw. This fucking thing, what is this thing? And she becomes, you know, the instigator, the prime mover and shaker to try and get this thing rebuilt, to get its former powers back. And she's totally under its spell, bewitched. And she begins to lead other classmates. The local reverend teaches the class, but his class is dwindling day by day, and he can't trust them because they're all cackling and they're all weird, and they've got little hidden secrets and agendas. So basically this is a film where you can't trust the kids, and the kids do commit some really horrendous acts of torture, violence, rape and murder, and of their own kind. This is the weird thing, some are possessed, some will lure other kids in to be slain and their body parts, or they don't see this take place, but clearly their body parts are being harvested to rebuild this fiend, who you do see shrouded sitting in corners with a dishevelled, misshapen face. And terrifically, it's only got one leg, so in one great sequence you'll hear it hopping up the stairs to get somebody because they've got the leg that it wants to join the other one. But this is why I don't believe it is the devil, because the devil would surely find a better way of manifesting itself, you know, once resurrected. And how did it get itself to be trapped in a field anyway? It's not the point. This is one hell of an effective horror movie. It's actually 3 stories in one. The idea, Piers Haggard directed it, but also co-wrote it. And with the other producers and writers, the idea was to have 3 stories, all interconnected, in like a sort of anthology. And then at the last minute I thought, let's condense all 3. Now, I will admit that the breaks in the film, the judge, played by the great Patrick Wymark, he disappears. Once he finally comes to terms with, like, the girl's gone mad upstairs, the aunt has gone missing, the scratches on her face, and gone missing completely because you never see her again in the story. Which is why, you know, I'm led to believe that scenes could be cut out of it as well to fit this 3-story idea into one. But the poor girl that the nephew is going to marry, she's gone crazy, and they lock her in there. They nail up, you know, boards because she's just screaming and she's gone totally apeshit. And then, don't worry, the men from Bedlam will arrive in the morning. They're going to fucking ship her off to the madhouse, but she's clearly been terrorised by this thing. And in a great sequence the next day, then they unhinge this door, get the boards off it, and these 2 burly brutes from Bedlam escort her down the stairs. There's Simon Williams, who wanted to marry her, and he's just like completely, and she smiles at him, you know, in this beatific but also very odd and menacing smile. But we also see she's got claws on one hand, which go on the banister of the stairs, and only he seems to see this because it never gets mentioned again. But now you know, oh God, there's definitely something weird and foul afoot in this enclave. So the judge begins to realize, yeah, there's definitely something going on here. So the local doctor shows him a book of old witchcraft, an old tome with witchcraft engravings and, you know, imagery of the devil and witches and stuff. And they focus on one particular face, which it will transpire will be the face that poor Ralph, you know, unearthed and is the face of what we'll see as the devil later on. So the judge thinks, I must go to London and do some more research. Exit Patrick Wymark for a good half the movie. He won't come back until the end of it. But he's gone. And then that leaves this superbly eerie assortment of set pieces where various kids are like taken to their deaths, sacrificed. In one particularly horrific sequence, a former companion of Doctor Who, and I've forgotten what her name is now, but she's only young, I think she's only about 16 when she made this. She is abducted and, by these other two tricksy kids. That's why it's so creepy. It's kids who are doing it. Really unnerving. And they lead her to this church. And anyway, she is stripped and she is raped. And then she has the devil's skin, the hairy skin on her back. And then Linda Hayden, Angel Blake, the leader of all this, stabs her with these like castrating shears in the back. And it's a really brutal, horrible, lengthy sequence. In the 70s, they seemed to get away with a lot of rape was in a lot of movies, and although we've had really nasty, grueling sequences like this in many movies in recent years, they almost always are a lot shorter and a lot less brutalising than this. And this is made worse by the fact that everyone is smiling and jeering at her, and you all watch as this guy strips. And he's only a kid, and it's edgy, it's very dark, it's very disturbing. So she is killed. Now, poor Ralph the labourer, he keeps drifting in and out of this story as the nominal hero. And he had a thing that, I've forgotten the name. Karen? Was it Karen? Catherine? The one who's just been raped and stabbed. And but of course he gets to the body just too late. But he realises and he says that it's Angel Blake who's been doing all this. Hey, she's got the other kids involved in it. They killed so-and-so. In the meantime, Angel Blake has tried to seduce, the Reverend, and in the most notorious full frontal scene. And she's only 17 when she made this, although she is absolutely unbelievably gorgeous. Just prior to this, she'd done a film called Baby Love, which was a controversial sort of movie about an underage girl exploring her sexuality, shall we say. And it was a massive cause celeb, and it really got her, a bit of fame and fortune, a lot of notoriety, which is why they came to her for this. And she could play it with these penetrating, sultry, seductive eyes. She puts the move on the Reverend. Now, we're never too sure why she's doing it. Is she trying to get, Christianity, corrupt Christianity, to join the fold of her dark new father? Is that the idea? But the last minute, the Reverend, he is sort of smitten. No, get you gone, child. Vile filth. Go think about what you've been doing. So off she goes. And obviously, she's pissed off with him now. So at the funeral of another child, which she's actually murdered, she then puts it about that the Reverend tore my dress and he ravished me. So of course, the town squire, played by, James Hayter. Now, for those of you who might not know that name, James Hayter was in many British comedies and movies. He was in, what was the one? Are You Being Served? He was in that, and Set in the Department Store. But perhaps most famously of all, he is the voice of Mr. Kipling's cakes. Mr. Kipling does make exceedingly good cakes. And it's that voice. He's like, Father Friedfellow, or whatever your name is, Father Fallowfield, you will pay for your crimes. We'll eat no more cream fondants for you. Mr. Kipling does make exceedingly good cakes, but you shall have no more of them, because you shall hang for what you've done. But it gets uncovered that he didn't do it. And then this bleeds into the big finale of the movie, which is it's brilliant. The judge arrives. Simon Williams realises, by the way, I've missed out a point. I've missed out a really good point. After this is the nephew from the start, the one who's is betrothed, has been whisked off to Bedlam, the one with the clawed, taloned hands. And for some bizarre reason, he elects to sleep in the room where she went crazy, and So he goes in there and he does get menaced by this thing. It's under the bloody floorboards. The floorboard keeps rising and he stupidly puts his hand in there to see what's going on there. And this fairy and feathered paw grabs him. And he's like, oh, he manages to push the board back down, put a great big packing crate on top of it. Then he still goes to bed right next to it. Wouldn't you fucked off immediately and gone and got huge farming implements and just chopped into this beast? But no, he doesn't do that. He then wakes up with this fairy fair claw around his neck, like that, and he reaches and gets his knife and starts hacking through it. Oh, blood. The judge, oh, more disturbance upstairs. Bloody hell, can't a man have some sleep in this house? Storms upstairs, pushes the door open, and there's Simon, I was going to say Simon Callow, that's someone else entirely. Simon Williams is cutting off his own hand, and his own severed hand flops there loose and blood. So this demon, this fiend, can obviously, it can cause illusion. So it's playing tricks on people as well. And the devil does work in mischievous ways, shall we say. So it likes to cause a bit of, trouble amongst the locals, as well as obviously rebuilding itself from all their body parts. So next time you see this guy, the nephew, he's got like a leather stitched stump, but he's the one that realises, look, I've got to go and get the judge back. The judge did say he was going to come back and sort it out. Has he fucking forgotten about us? And it almost is like a case of, he arrives in London, judge, and the judge is like, they've got those long sort of, those long wigs on. But he's took his wig off, but he's got like a skinhead underneath that. And he's pouring some more port or red wine, because Patrick Wymark was notorious for his drinking ways. And in the end, it killed him. And in fact, he died only shortly after making this movie. And he had to be escorted. When they were filming it in the village, they had to make sure he was brought out from the pub on time and able to walk. And when they were in Pinewood, only for a couple of scenes actually filmed interiors at Pinewood Studios. Pinewood's got a bar, so they had to make sure get him out of the bar and get him here. So it's almost like maybe after his first couple of days of filming, he just fell completely apart. He went, oh God, just ditch him. We'll say he's gone to London. Yeah. But we'll bring him back at the end. Fucking sober him up. Come on, Judge. Wake up. Coffee. And so the nephew rides out there and he goes, don't worry, I've not forgotten you. He fucking clearly had. Because I now know what we're facing up there. And I must use deeds unfathomable to save the population. So he rides back in his carriage. And he's got a couple of aides with him now. One of whom, I've forgotten his name, but I think he used to be a wrestler. And he's in a few Hammer movies. And he's a big brute of a guy with a bald head. And he always plays a mute. I'm not sure if in real life he was a mute. I would think not. But he does seem to play mutes a lot. He was in the great Hammer movie, the Pirates of Blood Island, was it? Yeah, Pirates of Blood Island. And he's also in Captain Clegg, which is the great spooky, and yet not spooky, Peter Cushing one, where Peter Cushing plays the local town vicar. He's actually the leader of a fucking gang of buccaneers. And this guy, this British guy, he's one of them. And he turns up, and he's a dog handler. So you've also got Michelle Doutrice in there. Michelle Doutrice, who played Betty, but she married Frank Spencer in Some Others Do Adam. Now, she, during that great big rape and torture and murder sequence, she's just seems to have just appeared out of nowhere, and she's reading from some kind of demonic scripture, and this huge horrible prayer she issues. Well, later on we're going to find out that people have realised that she could be a witch, and the typical pitchfork wielding villagers hound and harass her, and they find her cornered by a lake. They grab her. Well, 1, 2, 3, chuck her in. But up comes Ralph, bloody Ralph again. Ralph the farm labourer, who's always too late to save the people he cares about. He gets there in time and goes, what are you doing? I said, well, we think she's a witch. So why'd you chuck her in the water? If she's a witch, she'll float. But what if she just sinks? Well then it's murder, isn't it? And they go, oh shit. And they fucking run off. So he gets in and gets her out. And he takes her back to the home where this poor woman has lost her son and her daughter. Her daughter was the one who got raped and then murdered. And her son was killed even earlier than that. And that's a shocking sequence too. You know, it's horrible what they do, especially because they're young people doing it, and they're having such fun doing it as well. Shades of horrible real-life crimes do come to mind when you watch the film now. I'm not going to say what they are, but they do. You do have those feelings when you're watching some of this. Anyway, so he brings, and her name's Marcus, he brings her back, and they rouse her, and immediately the mother seems to think, I can adopt her as a new daughter. You only just lost your 2 kids, and all of a sudden, I'll have this one then. If I can't have them, I'll have you. And then they discover she's got a hairy patch on her shin. No, it's on her thigh, sorry. Which gives them a reason to pull up her dress, to expose her legs. And they get the doctor. The doctor's great because you see him, he gets some medicinal sort of wine, but fucking drinks it himself like earlier on. But he's also a bit of a shady dude. It's almost like he's not really qualified to do the job because he sort of goes, they say to him, it's the devil's skin. She's possessed, she has the devil in her. Take the skin off her, just cut it off. And he's like, well, I don't think I can do that. Well, you're the fucking doctor, aren't you? You've got a knife, do it. Or at least show us how to do it. And he's like, ugh. So they tie her down. And he goes, and it's quite a long sequence. And he slices around. Now, it's clearly a latex little appliance. But the sort of thing you get in a joke shop. But, what is nice about it is when they cut around, and then it's like a plaster. Quickly pull it off, You see the skin, she doesn't bleed. And the skin underneath is sore and like bruised and purple and livid, but it doesn't bleed. And he picks up this skin and he puts it in like a jar, I think everyone seems to want to sniff this skin for some reason. There's a fair bit of sniffing in the film. Angel Blake does some sniffing of wounds and weapons and things like, and victims' clothes. Anyway, Michelle Doutrice, Margaret, reawakens. Some time has clearly passed, and but the devil has not left her. She's still spouting, diabolical rhetoric. And poor Ralph, he's like, shit, what is it with the women in my life? They either get fucking tortured and raped and murdered, or they are the devil's fucking, concubine. Fuck me. But in the meantime, the judge comes back, but Margaret escapes and runs back to the coven, and whereupon she meets the delectable Angel Blake, who has now gone full pagan. She's got all weird makeup on her. She's got these vicious sort of Vulcan-like eyebrows, which walk and arch up like that. And she wears like a tiara of thorns. And but Margaret wants to join them again. She falls into a man trap though. And Angel realises, where's the mark on you? They cut it off me. And apparently that night it's going to be the big ritual, which is going to really bring the devil back to his former self. And he'll be all powerful, all consuming. Still needs a leg though. Cut to fucking Ralph again, who's using a scythe and he's cutting down grass on the verge. Oh, hang on, have I just cut my leg? Pulls his trouser leg up. He's got a big fairy Lon Chaney werewolf leg. Like, fucking hell, did you not even feel that? Scratching a bit. So he goes, oh shit. And he legs it back to the house and he bolts himself in there. And then you hear this one footstep on the steps. Bonk, bonk, bonk. You don't see it. That's the devil hopping up the stairs to come and get him. Brilliant. So next, you've got the big climax. The judges come back now. And they've got the townsfolk there. They've got pitchforks and flames and torches and all sorts like. But he's also got this big cruciform sword. Great big fucking massive sword. But it clearly is a crucifix at the same time. Well, if you're going to beat the devil, you're going to have something symbolic of godliness, aren't you? And but there's another big ritual. And there's even old crones who are involved in this now. So a lot of townspeople are involved in it. And around all these people at the gathering, there's severed hands, there's bandages around heads. And these are all bits that have been, how they do it, we don't know. Are they sewn onto this guy, the devil, who's now in the corner, and Angel's like, don't worry, Father. And he says things, I need my skin, give me my skin. He's got a fucking voice like... It's brilliant. And but they've got Ralph there, and this nubile, this exceptionally voluptuous young girl strips off and starts dancing in front of him to take his mind off the fact that she's just given him a knife and made him, start cutting your leg off, because the old boy over there, old Nick, needs it. And he's gonna do it, and all of a sudden hanging Judge Jeffries with his big sword does a slow motion leap off the rampart of this old castle, this old church, into the midst of them. Angel runs off straight onto a pitchfork. That's the end of her. And then the devil gets up and he's hopping in his cowl and his shroud, hopping. And the judge comes forward in bizarre slow motion and like, whoa, fucking skewers him, picks him up like that and pitches him onto the bloody fire. And the final image that you get is a great sort of juxtaposition of he's the judge is the good guy, but he's resorted to really despicable means, well, justifiable means, considering what these bastards have been doing, to dispose of the evil in their midst. And the last shot is of this fire, but he's standing behind it and his eyes are burning through the flames. In other words, he's just as bad, you know. Folks, Blood on Satan's Claw, or in some territories it's called The Blood on Satan's Claw, or Satan's Skin. It's an absolute classic. It fits, as I said before, into this sort of rural, folkloric sort of genre, which has Witchfinder General again, and it has The Wicker Man. Cults, covens, black magic, other religions, you know, the film is festooned with it. I said it's 3 stories wrapped into one, and the joins aren't particularly brilliant, but it doesn't matter. It tells such a really nightmarish tale. People come and go out of it, like, but some great characters and some great set pieces. The disturbing qualities really do get under the skin, as it were. And, you know, seeing younger people acting like that, with sex and violence, and clearly enjoying it, is something of a taboo, obviously. So the film did cause controversy. It did have censorship problems around the world. Although on TV, I pretty much remember it playing uncut. And I was only a kid when I saw it. And that Linda Hayden nude scene, holy shit, you know. And Linda Hayden still looks amazing even today. And she was born in like 1953. So I think she was only 17 when she made this. You know, and the other girl, Wendy Padsbury, I think it is, who was a Doctor Who companion. You've also got one of the you know, in the Doctor Who series, you've got the Master, and I think it's three or four different people who played the Master. Well, one of them, the Reverend in this, the school teacher Reverend, he played the Master as well in one incarnation of Doctor Who. So there's a few connections there. But it's a great movie. This music, which is so bizarre, so unearthly, rattles and, you know, flutes, piccolos, weird percussion. This Ons Martineau, which makes these sort of farting trumpet noises and these boom, boom noises, like some kind of bellicose, diabolical toad singing on the soundtrack. It's just fucking awesome. I recommend the film wholeheartedly. It's got a great Blu-ray there in the UK, Region B. Actually, is it Region B or is it all region? I don't fucking know. I don't know. Another version, I think, of this is coming out or has come out recently. Some good extra features, a great presentation of the movie as well. The photography by Dick Bush is amazing, amazing. The way he frames stuff and the way that in a lot of period pieces like this, you kind of think, you know, oh, just off shot there's a canteen truck, or there's a bus going down a country lane there, someone on a motorbike across the meadows, a tractor. No, in this film you don't get that at all. You don't even get the feeling that you're going to see anything like that intruding on the image. It is so rural, so of its time. The production design is outstanding. Photography, the way he frames characters, looking down like a sort of spiral, not spiral, a rectangular staircase, all the way down, and the camera will be up in the rafters looking down, and you'll have characters on various portions of the stairs talking. They're framed by this, you know, the stairs, and it's just such a clever device. And you know, it just, everything works. The narrative is a bit shaky, but as a nightmare movie, the qualities of it are just superlative, and I cannot recommend it enough. You know, there's a bit of raunch, a bit of titillation. You had that with Hammer, but where this trounces Hammer is the actual authenticity. Hammer always used sets and Bray Studios and Blackwood, you know, so you got to know the imagery in a Hammer film was always the fucking same, and I loved it. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore Hammer, but this goes beyond all that. There's no hokiness to it. It's sweet, it's melancholy, it's eerie, it's menacing, it's dark, it's taboo. It's got a lot of weird qualities, and you know, for my money, It's right up there with the best of British horror movies. It really is. So guys, if you want a good creepy time with the devil, or let's just call him a fiend. I think the devil he'd have his act together a bit better than this guy. Hop along. Hop along, Cassidy. One horn as well. Folks, hope you enjoyed this. Much more diabolical reviews to come for more and more horrors throughout Shoktober. In the meantime and in between time, tell your friends to subscribe to Kilt-Man, and let's have some fiendish, frightening fun throughout this month. And I'm going to see you all